History in the making. Healing to be awakened. Yeah, you are the star of your story at Let's Talk and Grow with Miss Roshumba.
You know, my son is born on a Wednesday. Seen and felt because they are the largest group. And so my
we got your back. No, we're not perfect.
So now you know it's time to grow at Let's Talk and Grow with Miss Roshumba. Let the healing begin.
Audience, we took a quick break because you see, what we're about to delve in is quite important. You know, it's another ability for these gentlemen to tell their story, and hopefully you have your ears on and you're really listening in, because you know, when you've chosen a career, when a career has even chosen you, you know, it's quite important that you stay with it and you don't let anyone sway you, you know, and tell you who you are. You have to come out and tell who you really are to them. So you were talking about your experience
with my counselor.
With your counselor, yeah. Elaborate on that if you
It's
would.
really unfortunate how people, like I said, put you in certain categories, really. And again, after seeing him for the first time, I stopped going back. I got a black counselor, Dr. Nelson, Esther Nelson.
And you stopped seeing him because of what?
Well, because it was basically like a turnoff. He closed the door. And that school, I mean, I'm not going to knock the schools. I'm sure it's a good college, but it wasn't for me. Like R.B. Sloan said, college is not for everybody. Mm-hmm. I did my own studying and all that. And but yeah, I never went back to him again, really.
Yeah, because he told you that you were not cut out to be a photographer.
Right.
Instead, you should be
you
a
should
what?
Do this. Work at an auto mechanic
Okay.
store,
Some
Walmart.
physical labor job.
Yeah,
in a different
just
way.
like a typical, yeah.
To fit you as a Negro male.
There you go. Yeah. Just
Gotcha.
And again, you know, having my mom and dad, they encouraged me to do what you got to do. You know, shine, and that's what I try to do. That's part of my testimony is shooting pictures and all that. But what's crazy is my first year in college, I got an F in photography. We won't go there on that.
Okay.
I did all this other work, but you know, they gave me an F, and I wasn't fitting in with them.
And you already had some experience.
Exactly.
You were shooting.
Teaching.
You shoot Reagan and all those folks, and
But everybody, the door was just closing. Again, I don't want to sound racist, but you know, in the white world, it was closing on me. You know, it was like, no, do something else, do something else, do something else. But I just stick to that's what we both love is photography. That's why we do what we do all these years, really. When the pay's not there.
So
but,
you got an F on the paper?
I got an F on my first year in college in photography, and the same photos I gave it to my other buddy who was going to Sac State. And he got an A on my images.
Was he African American?
He is. He
Okay.
is. At Sac State.
Okay.
I ain't gonna say his name,
Okay,
but
but he was going, and you were at.
I was at American River College, a
Okay,
two-year college.
so he took it to state and got.
I gave him. He said, "I brought some images." I gave him my images. He came back. In fact, I have the photos to this day with the A on the back of the photographs. Really.
Wow.
So it told me a lot. This
Yes.
I didn't need nobody's approval, really.
Yeah.
You know, I had to do what I had to do. Yeah. But I was going to tell you another story on the pictures. I went blank.
But yeah. Do you have a similar story
Yes,
to
right.
that? Did people try to deter you when you were climbing the ladder and determining that this is what you want to make your career?
Oh yeah, there was always people that seemed like they wanted to steer you somewhere to another direction.
Right.
My problem was I didn't have no confidence in myself, and even after I went to school and I was trying to learn all I could learn. When I had to get out there and shoot, I still didn't have a lot of confidence, and I was thinking, man, that's actually just messed up so quickly here. I kept thinking, there's so many variations and stuff on the camera that, if you don't get this stuff all straight,
right.
Especially when you're dealing with a camera,
right.
A 35 millimeter where you got to beat all the adjustments and stuff like
right.
that, you can end up with nothing. And so,
true.
I went out shooting. When I started shooting, what happened is that, let me say, I went to Fishback School of Photography, and just about the time I graduated, what happened is that we started off with maybe like 25 students in this class. All of them were white except me. And near the end, we had to put together this portfolio, and we had like about 18 to 20 pictures we had to come up with, different categories,
floral, sightseeing, persons,
all kind of stuff.
Portrait.
And what happened is that as we were working on these portfolios, students started to drop out. And by the time we were getting down near the end, there were like 5 students out of the 20 that started the school. And they all had been paying money every month with the school and stuff. And I'm talking about thousands of dollars and stuff they had to put into this thing. And so they just all dropped out. And I hung in there, and at one point I felt like I was ready to quit, man. And somebody said, "No, don't quit, man. You're doing okay. You just gotta hang in. Just keep trying. So try until you get to the end, you know." So that's what I did.
Was that a peer in the classroom that told you that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so next thing I know, I was down to the last couple of days when it was time, you know, to have you all turn all your stuff in. And I was on the day that we were supposed to turn our stuff in and see if we had done it or not, had made it. The lady who runs the school, Alpha Fishback, she came in to the dark room while I was printing pictures. She says, "Let me see what your last couple of pictures look like," you know. And I was like, "Oh boy!" So I had to take the tray, put it, you know, fix it, and then take it and take it out in the hall so she could look at it. She looks at, "Yeah, you're gonna do it. You're gonna be all right." And I said, "Phew!" I was just, you know, I went in and finished that picture, brought that last one in to, you know, to get it mounted and all that stuff, and you know, and I was able to graduate with the other 5 or 6 people who also did graduate. But the confidence, it took still a lot of time to get the confidence, because then what happened is within a week or 2 later, she called and said, "Hey, you know, the people down the corner, the Observer is like about 3 or 4 blocks away." She said, "You know, they're looking for a photographer." And I was like, "Oh," and she said, "Yeah." She said, "Yeah." So I told them, "Yeah, we had you, and maybe you might want to come down there and see it." And I said, "Okay."
So that's how you ended up getting to so straight from school right to the Observer.
Yeah, and it's like, the thing that was hard, you know, is I was thinking, well, maybe I can just kind of ease my way into this job and learn as I go along. But no, you didn't learn as you go along with the Observer. As soon as I got it, like, "Oh, we got some assignments you want. Could you go shoot this thing over here, and then we need you to go over here and do this?" And I was like, "Oh my God."
Because they expected that you knew.
Yeah, they didn't know.
They expected that you know how to do it.
And I think the thing is that a lot of times you will know a lot of stuff. You have the knowledge, but you're not confident in your knowledge. So I was thinking, oh,
and that's what I wanted to ask you about, you know. Why didn't you have confidence in yourself?
Because I just felt like, you know, there's so many things you need to know, and trying to hold all that in is hard to do. And the thing that makes it really difficult is that you have to have all this knowledge and stuff about what you're doing with the cameras and stuff like that. And then you have to be there in front of people taking their pictures and stuff like that, you know, so you just feel like, God, there's so many different ways this could go wrong, you know. And I just.
But I guess what I'm asking, yeah, because, you know, when you're learning something, this is where it shows up that your own sense of self is not quite where you would like it to be.
Right.
And was this something you were doing, was this in the 70s that you were, early 80s, when?
It was mid-80s, huh? 87 with the Observer.
When did you,
Observer, I came to Observer in 86.
86. You know, and the reason why I'm saying that, you know, to be of African descent in this country, you know, when you walk down the street, you don't hear, "Hooray, here he comes," you know, so you're always dealing with challenges just to be a man, black man, just to be able to make it through the different, navigate in this system. So I wondered if that played a part in, you know, you feeling like, you know what, this may be not something that's going to be easy for me.
Yeah, it played a part in that. But let me just say that the whole thing about hooray, you know, here comes, you know, the thing was that the people that we were going to shoot for the Observer, they were happy to see us. They knew we were there for positive reason. We weren't there to try to catch some kind of scandal or anything like that. They knew when we came to cover their event, we were trying to catch them in the limelight doing positive things. And so a lot of times, you know, I started noticing that when I would pull up and come out there with my camera, so like I could hear them say, "Oh, the Observer's here." You know, you could hear enthusiasm in their voice and stuff like that, which made me feel better. And as I learned my craft while shooting them, and I kept getting better and better pictures, I got more confidence with that.
That's,
you know?
okay.
It took getting that experience of being around them and getting the good stuff that make them say, "Oh, yeah, he's a pretty good photographer." And stuff like
Yeah, and that's probably why I would say that, because I'm not, you know, we think of young people in the world today, young African American youths especially, and I'm speaking, you know, from that direction, because this program is to highlight the challenges we face in the world. You know, we think of a lot of the young African American males, you know, that are in the world trying to get jobs, having to go to work every day, and in a place where, and I like to say, when you go to work, oftentimes you kind of semi-go into the plantation, because that's where the subjugations and things occur. And you know, if you come in sometimes from homes that aren't as steady as we would like it to be, you know, you come feeling a way about yourself, you see. So when you tell your story, not saying that that's your background, but it helps that when you join a team, it's a team of African people that are saying, yes, we want you here, and we want to have you represent us by the photos you bring. And so when you mentioned that being in a class of predominantly white and you're the only black, you know, it took a lot to be in the center and be the only one and still get through from that 24 down to 5.
Yeah.
So, you know, you built a way, the way you handle it is a way to...
something that connects with that, and that is that we weren't just shooting black. You know, we were shooting all the black events and stuff like that, but there's no way you can shoot news without shooting things that have, you know, white people or, you know...
Well, we live in America.
Across country. So,
yeah.
So the point I was going to get to is that I was shooting a lot of black events and stuff like that, but we had to go down to the Capitol, and we had a whole lot of different things that we had to cover all the time.
Yeah.
And
so that's where your confidence would show up even more.
Yeah.
Because
Let's give you an example of something that happened. And Robert, we talked about this a couple of days ago. We would start covering like the games and stuff like that.
Right.
The sports and stuff like that. Or we go down to the cover the politics down at the Capitol and stuff like that.
Yes.
And a lot of times when we would walk in, all the other white photographers and people who had been there for a while would look at us like, what are they doing here? You know, and they looked at my camera, and I had like a Minolta, and they were like, what is he doing here? Minolta, man. Everybody used to shoot Nikon and Canon and stuff like that. But,
so that's where that confidence come into play.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's where you get the attitude too. Sometimes where you see that these other people are looking at you like, what are you doing here? You know, and stuff like that. And they would try to disrespect us. And Robert had said, you know, it sounded like he would get to this place, he'd get his spot, and then for a moment he would be there, and then he come over, somebody else had gotten his spot, taken over his spot. He said, hey, that's my spot. He said, I want that back.
So you kind of have to push. Tell us your story. I think you mentioned that. What happened?
As Larry was saying.
Because, you know, you can't go in there and squirmy. You have to come in there aggressively saying, no, I belong here too.
Well, it was a boxing match in Las Vegas, and I was Roy Jones, his first professional fight, big
Roy
fight.
Jones. What period in time was that?
I was, that's
Roy
probably
Jones,
in the 80s. 80s or 90s?
Close to the 90s.
I guess he never won because I never heard his name.
he was a champion.
He was a champion.
Yeah.
Roy Jones?
Middleweight champion, yeah.
Okay.
Well, basically we were at the weigh-in. You know how the guys go up there to weigh themselves?
Okay.
And I picked out a spot right in the middle, right by the scales. And, you know, I was going to sit there, you know, and everybody else getting into the arena. I had left one of my lenses in the back. Mm-hmm. So I went back to get my lens. I came back, and this white gentleman was sitting in my chair. I said, excuse me, I was sitting there. And he said, like, he looked up at me and said, you're not now. And I'm like, and everybody looked. I mean, even the fighters about to get weighed in, they stopped and looked down at us. I'm like, so no, I was sitting there.
Did you look too?
Larry wasn't there at that
Oh,
point.
okay.
Well, he would have backed me up probably.
Yeah.
But no. My thing is, again, this, you know, white guy, he was very confident. No, hey, you ain't sitting here. You know, this is my seat.
And everybody's watching and listening.
And everybody's watching. Everything stopped.
So you all were the show for that moment. It's like, how is this going to turn out?
I'm gonna find that video if we can. But no, what happened? I mean, I'm very humble, you know.
Yes.
But when I'm disrespected, there's a whole different person comes out.
Yes.
Be quiet, Larry. No. On the serious side, though, I mean, it's so sad because I think of the racism and all that. That plays in your head too. And I felt my temperature rise up to my forehead. I mean, I was like, okay, this is it. You know, I was really upset. And he was like, he wasn't moving. You know, he had all his gear there. And I said, well, I'm going to say this one more time nicely. You know, you got to get out my seat. And then he looked at me. I guess he must have seen something either on me. And he said, oh. So he got up, grabbed his gear, and I sat down right in front and got my shots. I mean, it was just so simple.
Yeah.
I was sitting there, and other photographers see me sitting there, so come on now.
So it was a test, and nobody tried to get involved and take sides or anything. It's just they watched it to see how it was going to play.
They can see it in your eyes. That's what it is.
Yeah, I was
They knew you
being
were
very
serious.
humble, but again, if you push me, you know what they say when you back up like a wild animal and it's against the wall, it has to go, and that's how I am, kind of, you know.
I've had that happen a couple of times when I was at the Capitol shooting something, and some guy moved over to my way. I said, "Hey," I said, "you just cut off my view," and he said, "Oh well," and I said, "No, you need to move." I said, "You need to move back and let me have my spot back." And he could hear in my voice that, you know, this is going to turn into a serious thing. And he moved over, you know.
So-
we were shooting Jesse Jackson when he was running for president, and you know,
Yeah.
everybody was trying to get their shot. And so those, the point I'm trying to make is that a lot of them who have been around before we came around felt like, you know, hey, whatever
you were
happens,
the young-
we're always
we're nothing.
We're going to be
Plus,
we're
our
priorities, so
kids
we can
are-
always move in their way, and
Okay.
they're not going to get
That's how I took
Okay.
it.
yeah, it was disrespectful, but we said, no, we're here to try to get good shots too, so you need to move out of the way. I was already here, you know.
Because the way I see it, the shots me and Larry both capture, thousands of people's going to see this. You know, black,
Yes.
white, doesn't matter what color you
Right.
are, but mainly
Photo's
the
a
black
photo,
press.
correct.
You know? I mean, again, what I shoot, I'm thinking over 100,000 people want to see these photos. So let me make it work. You know, that's what we do. That's how we think, at least, in capturing this
Because that's the
history.
key for a photographer, to get the best shot.
Best shot, and we represent a lot of eyes. So we're gonna look at these images.
So the thing we always
So
thought.
that's why this is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
You know what I'm saying? So the thing I think we thought about while we were trying to get these shots is when I take these in to give them to the observer, they're going to be looking and say, "What'd you get?" You know, and they're going to see what you got. And if you say, "Oh, the guy got in my way and I didn't get the shot," they don't want to hear none of that crap. They want, "Where's the
no,
shot? We
yeah.
want to see what you got." And
I mean,
that's
we're
what-
being paid to be there to
Yeah.
capture this history.
So you got to
Again, that's why I got into photography, to capture this history. It never happened again. A lot of these people are gone. As you'll see on some of our photos on the video here,
Yes.
you know, like, you know, Harry Belafonte, he's gone now.
So you captured
Whitney
him.
Houston.
Right,
Yeah,
Whitney Houston,
a lot of
right.
people are gone now, you know.
So your historians freeze in time.
We're
So your
capturing
jobs
time.
were extremely important.
Yes.
Extremely important. And so to be able to stay as long as you both did, for observers, said that you really came through with the goods.
We did.
You know, and I, you know, those are during the times where it was not digital as it is now. So
Right.
to be able to look at the picture really mattered. Really mattered to have the picture in the newspaper. Really mattered because it's a physical thing back then, folks. You know, to all those that, you know, you get your news on your iPhone or your Androids, you know, back in the day it was that paper being delivered. Now, was the Observer once a week?
It was weekly. It's still,
It was
it's still a weekly
weekly.
paper.
Okay.
Yes. My thing is, I remember I recall now, is a photo I did of Coretta Scott King.
Coretta Scott?
And all the photographers were shooting the pictures, and I had my 300 2.8 lens. you know.
Dr. Martin Luther King's
Wife,
wife,
of
a
course.
widow. A lot of people may not know it because, you know, some of the young people, they
Yeah, look
were,
at the history.
yeah, so
Very
that's
important.
who she was.
Well, yeah, I was capturing her, and everybody was using a flash. And the photo I'm going to show you now on the video,
Yeah.
it's a silhouette I did of Mrs. King. I mean, you could tell her style, her face, and all that. Not, yeah, we'll see it on.
Just a silhouette
it's a
of her.
silhouette of Mrs. King, and you know it's her. And that's one of my favorite photos
Wow.
of my whole career, really, of Mrs. King.
So you traveled far and wide then. You just didn't
All
stay
over.
locally.
Oh no,
Because it's a Sacramento newspaper, but you went all over the country. Were both
I
of you?
was. We work with the Observer. We're independent contractors.
Freelancers.
So we're able to.
Is that freelancer called?
Yeah, freelance
Okay.
photographers. But we're able to work with different newspapers, and to this day, I still work with other newspapers.
Okay, you won't
Yeah.
call any names.
Well, no, over 20 newspapers I sell images to.
Okay, all right. So
Well, okay.
you see, now you're hitting on something because I'm learning too.
Uh-oh, okay.
So I just thought you represented
The Observer?
the Observer, but you.
Mainly we do.
Okay.
But we mainly work with the newspaper, Observer newspapers.
Okay.
And I mean, Dr. Lee gave me my first star. I give him all the credit too.
Yes.
He's seen the talent. And I mean, one time he was firing his whole staff. Everybody's being fired. And then one day he said, you know, I'm on act like Dr. Lee. He said, "Robert, come into my office." So, oh man, I'm up next now, because he was firing everybody. I guess he had budget problems or something was going on. So I walked in his office. "Robert, have a seat." You know, that's how Dr. Lee spoke. And I sat down, and he basically said, he looked at me for a minute. I'm like, I'm ready to get the boot, you know. He said, "Robert, we got to do a special, an educational special." So me and Dr. Emo make money, which you a lot of money, doing different specials. Yeah, I thought I was getting the axe, but no, he sat me down, and we both put our heads together and thought of the different education specials and business specials, and
So he put you in a leadership role in a certain area.
well, he wanted me there just to hear his vision and to share my ideas. You know, let's go to LA, let's do this, let's do that. And it worked out. It worked out. We have a big special, which will show on video most likely, that we did back in the 80s, in the late 80s. It was all film, no digital. Just Robert's out there shooting. Robert knew what he was doing out there. So I mean, I respect that he gave me that chance, opportunity to do what I had to do. It was crazy, but we did it.
Wow. So
There
you
he
have to be
goes.
progressive, think quick on your feet and keep things going.
As a professional photographer, you got to learn how to do group shots. You have to be able to oppose people. I mean, I work with the NFL and NBA and who else?
Did you say
Major League.
oppose people?
Pose,
Okay, put
pose
them
them in
in-
different, like flowers, arranging people and all that.
Gotcha. The
That's
vignette, set
part
it
of
up.
being a professional photographer.
Making it interesting.
Yeah, it's at the
Interesting
spur of the
shots.
moment too. I
Yeah.
mean, I had people like, Kobe Bryant was a young man. He was like 17 when I first met him, and he was just very humble.
So you got Kobe too.
I shot Kobe before the Lakers even had him, and I mean, we have so many different stories though.
So can one go online to see your photo? Do you have a studio online where people could go and see
I don't.
some?
I'm just by getting me directly, really. I mean, people say I should get a website, but yeah, I will maybe one day.
Yeah.
I may do a coffee table book, but right now it's just.
You haven't retired yet, have you?
I have, because I care for my dad.
Okay.
But now
You care.
He still shoots.
I pick and choose. I make more money picking
Okay.
and choosing what I do now. That's the blessing of being independent, I guess.
Wow. Wow. Oh, lovely. And you, sir, you've retired.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. But I take on special assignments and stuff to different people.
Right.
But yeah, retired. Because I have to take care of my lady.
You're taking care. So, there's a time in our lives that we become caretakers, folks.
Oh, yeah.
I've done my part for a very long time, so I'm kind of like free now.
I mean, all three of us are basically caregivers now,
Yeah, I'm not.
Well, yeah, you're free now.
Yeah, I'm not.
You graduated.
When you all were enjoying yourself going around the world, I was a caretaker then. Now I'm caring for me and the we in my family.
There you go.
So, we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back and delve a little bit more into these gentlemen and their photographic history, and and they're going to tell us, what's the most prized photo that they've caught. The prize one that they caught that may worth money. And we want them to get the money before they go. We don't want them to get that prize photo after they're gone, but before they go. Because this is the way we document our journey as a people. So, you know how I do it. I'm going to come back and elaborate a little bit more. But my guest today, as you know, Larry Dalton, Robert Maryland, and they've graced my show. And I know you see I'm looking good in my my presentation today, because before it's just my iPhone, but whatever I have to do to get the story, I'm going to get it. Maybe this would be something I could continue doing, but you know what? Whatever it takes, I'm going to get the story, because I know you all will benefit. You see, I may not have the fanciest of anything, but the story will benefit someone out there. Their story is riveting, and I'm pleased that they took time out of their busy schedule to be a part and share it with us. And hopefully someone out there could learn something. I wanted to ask you, over the years when, the youth see you all doing the camera, have you had many youths come up to you and ask you how they could do it? And have you mentored, shadowed anyone, connect with any from the schools? Because you're at the time now, that you're all going to be passing that mantle. And can you say there's somebody you've kind of given you know, a little.
I inspired Ray Johnson. He's what, 55 years old. He's there. He's been there at the Observer for about 37 years.
Okay, so he's an observer.
Yeah, he's in
photographer now?
Dallas, Texas now. And I was his mentor back in the days. You know, I took him under my wing in 1985 of all times, really. And he's been a big inspiration. We may get him on a Zoom call, maybe.
Okay.
So,
Okay. So, you know, the kind of work you do gives you a semi-independence, you know, because you work out in the field, getting the information and bringing it back to, or selling it, or however you choose to do it. But, so, you know, that's a lovely thing for the youth to have the sense of independence when they're working. How about you, Larry? Have you shadowed any young people? Have they come to you and asked how you do what you do and what, you know?
Not much at all. I've talked to them about it and stuff like that, but I haven't had a chance to really experience,
Yeah.
you know, having them under my wing. I was always shooting so much, and everything I covered usually meant I just had to be on my job.
Right.
But,
Well, see, these gentlemen, you see, when we, in our own community, when we decide that, you know, we're going to write the narratives for our people, these are the icons, folks. These are the ones we call upon. These are the ones we ask to come be guest speakers at our programs at school, you know, during Career Month. These are the gentlemen, because they set the pace for us, because they had to do it during difficult times, and they're still doing it, and, you know, it's going to be difficult. So, you know, when I think about the African marketplace at 24th and Florin, you see, and they have the Sojourner Truth museum there, you know, when you go through the museum, you see a lot of photos, you know, so you can see the value of photos and what it speaks in the community. You know, and just touching on that, I want to ask, what's one of the photos you took that you believe may go down like a historical capture? Tell me what, Larry, what you think, you know, this is, every time you look at it, you just say, wow, I did that. Is there one that stands out to you?
God, I hadn't thought about anything like that.
I know you were telling me a story about, you know, was it Tyson that was fighting and you were at the very top and then you came down and you ran out? You want to elaborate on that one? And you think that would be one?
What makes it variable is that, you know, the challenge I had to try to get a picture,
Okay.
an interesting picture. So, yeah, I was at a Tyson fight, and they had
Mike Tyson, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was in Vegas, and they had all the important magazines and newspapers got to be right ringside. But the rest of it, they said, well, you can be at this fight, but you got to go way up in the stands and stuff like that, where you had to use your big telephoto lens. So I went up in the stands, and I'm shooting this thing, and, you know, fight starts, they're boxing, and I'm catching these pictures, and, you know, going against each other. And but I was using film just before digital. So
Okay.
I'm thinking, I said, man. So when the round ended, I must have had like about 10, 12 shots left, and I was thinking, man, should I change this rollout, or am I going to be all right? You know, I don't want to get caught in the middle where, you know, I don't have any film or something.
Right.
But I said, well, I don't have a whole lot of film, so I'm just going to go and use it until I run out. And of course, I run out just at the time when Tyson really tags this boy and he get him hurt. And he's beating him all around the ring. I had to stop my thing and roll my film back in and put new film in and stuff like that. By the time I got the film in, the fight was over. He had knocked him out. And I was saying, man, I said, came all over the
Timing
Vegas.
is everything.
And I didn't get the shot. You gotta have, there's gotta be something there where you say, that was the shot. Everything else can be around and stuff like that, but you gotta have one shot that says, whoa. But I didn't get anything like that. And I was saying, oh man. I said, man, I'm going to go back home and I'm going to have anything to show them. But I said, no. So I felt desperate. I said, I'm just going to run down there. I said, I'm going to. So I grabbed my cameras, left my big camera up there, my lens up there, and I ran down the steps to the ringside. And I got right down the ringside, and I got into the lower section there,
Right.
where they usually have it all blocked off for only people who got tickets and stuff like that. But the fight was just ended. It was a lot of excitement because, you know, this guy had just got knocked out. So all the people that were supposed to be guarding the ringside and stuff like that, they weren't paying attention. You know, they were just doing whatever they were going to do. So I was able to get right down there, and I got right there where Tyson was coming out of the ring. And as he stepped down out of the ring, sweat coming off his face and stuff like that, looking victorious, I got that shit. And I said, oh man, I got it. I got that one, But that's the kind of thing sometimes you have to do when you get in a desperate situation like that. Something that comes up and all of a sudden you realize, oh man, I'm not getting what I need to get. What can I do here to save it? And that's what I did for that situation.
Wow.
So I was just glad to be able to get down and get that. And times like that happen all the time where you get a situation where you got to come up with another way of trying to get something that's going to be relevant to go into the paper.
So you have to be creative, aggressive, and just go for it.
Absolutely.
So it appears that there were a slight little segregation going on sometimes from the black photographers versus everyone else. Maybe who you work for,
yeah.
who you represent gets you closer versus someone further behind.
Yeah, magazines like Ringside or Sports Illustrated, they're the
right
giants.
up
So
They may have 2 or 3 covers ringside. Really.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what happened with them. So we had to learn how to work around it. And this is a guy who really learned how to do that really very well too. Because Robert's been in so many situations where he was not supposed to be down near the front, whatever, and he found his way down there somehow, right?
When did you tell yourself to do that? I'm going to pause for a quick minute.
So now you know it's time to grow at Let's Talk and Grow with Miss Roshumba. Let the healing begin.